Last of the Dragonlords. Chapter 9. Many horses in the south consider Andalusia to be the crown jewel of Horska, a shining light of beauty manifested in stone, and proof that the people of Horska could be their equal, if not better standards in Equestria. It was home to some of the richest horses in the south, and home to thousands more. But now it was a graveyard. A few yards away, at the end of the city, Throa stood before its broken and scourged walls, his chest heaving with every breath after running all the way from Castilian. Sides moved along the battlements, looking for any sign of movement. Seeing and sensing nothing, he approached slowly, his eyes still locked on the battlements, and ears pricked right up to the ear of any horses. The journey to Andalusia was not as eventful than last time. The small but bustling villages he and Fluttershy galloped through Castilian had now been abandoned. Houses were locked and boarded up. Animals had been taken away. Not a scent of life whatsoever. He cursed when he realized that he must have warned the patrol of oncoming attack, and would have warned anyone in charge. Didn't have time to worry about now. What mattered was his mission. As he approached the walls, he wondered where would Fluttershy and Freya be at the moment. He hated himself for leaving the young Pegasus and his dear cousin like that, but he hated having to say goodbye as well. It would always seem to him a curse he accidentally inflicted upon others, for he rarely had spoke to him ever again. He made it to the edge of the walls and slowly moved his head to peer through the gap that he and Fluttershy had escaped through the first time he was here. He hoped after this it would be the last time he would be here. The city creeped him out completely, whether living or dead. He prayed he didn't have to run into too many soldiers. The only thing that protected him was his coat, the sword that hung on his left side, and his wits. Thor jumped up on the ruined wall and had a quick look into and around the city. Andalusia was a small hill at the southern end, and there it was, the main castle or palace the city was built upon. The richest of the side of the city was to the west, while the poorest was to the east, where it was settled over a huge cliff arch that dangled over a large deep lake. He jumped down and walked slowly, sword slapping at his side as he moved. His hooves touching the ground seemed to echo across the city. He began to sweat, hoping no one was in the city to hear him. The houses he passed were blackened ruins, totally silent and desolate. Some still stood, but most likely a gentle touch of hoof would bring them down. He walked past charred and ruined remains of horses along the streets. Young and the old, all their expressions frozen in agony, showing that their final moments must have looked like. It sickened Thrud to know something like this happened, and he was there to see it. He didn't wish this kind of thing to happen to even his greatest of enemies. No one deserved to die like this. He passed pools of dry blood on the ground, was alarmed to some degree, wondered whether the dragon had returned at some point yesterday and feasted upon some of the remains here. It's still the best Fluttershy what dragons eat, he said to himself, though I think I already know the answer. He soon at the spot where he and Fluttershy would have been executed yesterday. The bodies of the watchers and soldiers still left untouched. He didn't stop, though, as what he was here for was ahead of him. A small slope followed by a large open gate and walls that surrounded the Andalusian mansion. He moved through the gate and into the courtyard, and gasped in horror what he saw in front of him. At the center of the courtyard were the remains of horses, all piled up on top of each other as if they were toys stacked by a child in the middle of the room. He looked away in revulsion, proceeded to make his way around the dead horses. The stench coming from the poor souls flooded his nostrils. He thought for a second he might throw up, but he ignored it to the best of his ability, and found himself looking at where the mansion once stood. Yesterday morning the mansion was 2 stories tall, built with the most luxurious of furniture and decorations. Today it was nothing but a pile of rubble, cinders, and ashes. Not even the 3 chimney stacks were standing. Thrall was stunned. So much damage in the space of 20 minutes would seem impossible for him, but it wasn't he had seen it himself. What could prompt a creature that, as Fluttershy said to him earlier, would normally be passive-aggressive? And why here in Horska, at the same time when the equestrian had arrived? Satisfied he found the answer to one question, he turned around and started looking for the bodies and the remains of the royal family. He only cast a glimpse of a horse charging at him, sword attached to his right leg and holding it high, ready to swoop down on the skull. Thrower dodged the blade by lowering his head, stepping to the side. He reared up and kicked his forelegs out at the other horse, hitting him on the side and sending him to the ground. He didn't have time to draw his own sword, however, as another horse was on him, his sword drawn and ready to slick across his neck. Thrower ducked and kicked again at his new foe's chest, wounding the other stallion, but otherwise still able to fight. He caught a glimpse of two other horses standing a fair distance away, watching the fight unfold. One was definitely a stallion, and the other a mare who looked like she didn't want to be there. Thrower couldn't blame her. He looked to his sides and saw his two opponents, swords raised across their chests, eyeing him and waiting to make his move. He grinned. He didn't want them to wait long. Thrower brought his right hoof up to the scabbard and heard the sound of the clicking mechanism as the hilt that was stuck to his left leg attached itself to the blade. He pulled the sword out of his scabbard and let the point fall to the ground. The sword was of bright bronze and as sharp as saber teeth. It was given to him as a present from Freya as a reward for great service to the northern horses of Horska. He didn't think he deserved it. Since he lost his first sword in a skirmish years ago, he was glad to have one at his side. He looked at the two horses that were now on either side of him. Both were stallions. The one on his right was a light gray, and the other was a spotted white. Both wore light armor that went across their chests and their back. Both wouldn't stop a sword thrust, but that would stop a long-distance crossbow bolt. The spotted horse also wore a helmet that had a horn sticking out at top, like a spearhead. Thrower checked their stances and realized the one on the right of him was closer to the one on the left, who had moved a distance that was so far he wouldn't be able to assist his comrade. Thrower sensed the opportunity to strike. Without warning, he lunged at the closest stallion. Before either of the horses could react, Thrower reared up and swung his sword down his throat, bending it into his skull. Spotted Stallion leapt into action, and with a war cry charged at Thrower. The silver-maned horse forced his sword out of his dead foe's head and turned to face his opponent. Thrower raised his sword and blocked the blow, but he couldn't have time to make his attack his own, because his opponent was at the attack again, raining blow after blow at him in a bid to tire him out. But this poor fool was mistaken if he thought he could tire out a slayer of Horsegut that easily. Stallion raised his sword once again in the air and brought it down, attempting to hit his face. Thrower's sight set to the right. It slashed across the stallion's side, who cried out in pain. He moved to make a killing blow, but found himself gasping for air as the third stallion, who was at one point watching from a distance, charged into him and forced him onto the ground. Thrower's new opponent had a black cloak and a short mane and tail. He steered as the gray horse on the ground, raised the hook to punch him in the face. He was too slow, though. Thrower kicked up on his hind legs, hitting the black stallion below the stomach, wounding him. Quickly rolled away under the stallion, tripping him up in the process, and made a new attack from the recovered spotted stallion. He dodged the sword thrust from his opponent with ease, and made a thrust of his own, stabbing through the chest and up at the back. He looked into the horse's eyes, and watched until his eyes rolled back, and with a final breath he died. Thrower pulled the blade out, swung it around so low, it hit the black stallion's legs. He recovered and was now running towards him in a blind rage. The swing struck off his right foreleg, and he was sent tumbling to the ground, not before giving Thrower a cut across the shoulder. Thrower cried out in pain and looked at the wound. It wasn't deep, but it did seem to hurt every time he raised his sword leg. He looked over and, ignoring the pain in his shoulder, plunged his sword down into the agonized horse. He whispered softly, "Fight peace, sword brother," and into the fallen stallion's ear, waiting until the stallion was dead, all signs of life going from his eyes. Sighing, he pulled the sword out and turned his attention to the fourth horse of this little party. The mare stepped back in horror as Thrower approached her, blood dripping from his sword. Instantly, she threw her sword away and prostrated herself on the ground, covering her face with her hooves. Thrower walked up to the mare, placed his sword on her neck. This was with a whimper from the mare, mostly due to the fact that he could feel the blood of her comrades dripping from the edge onto her neck. "Look at me," he said gently. He wriggled her hose off her head and looked into his blue eyes. The mare's eyes were a beautiful bright green. They seemed to glisten as the mare's tears rolled down her cheeks. "Please, don't kill me," she whimpered. "What's your name?" he asked after a brief silence. "Alorna," she said hesitantly. "Do you have anyone home waiting for you to be in their house again, Allura?" The mare nodded. Yes, she and I lived together in a small village called Crest Hollow. It's the most northern point of Southern Horska. Thrawn nodded and eased the pressure lightly, playing on Laura's back. How old are you in your love? Laura smiled at the memory that seemed to course through her mind. I'm 19, she's 20. We met at school on the first day. We haven't been away from each other since then. That was 3 years ago. 4 months ago, I was called up to join the army for some reason. I never wanted to go, but I had no choice. Her smile faded quickly as it appeared, as she looked up at Throw with watering, bleeding eyes. I would do anything to be back with her again. Throw smiled. So tell me, Lorna, what are you exactly doing here? Lorna Goldberg quickly entered. I was ordered along with them. She pointed behind him to the dead horses. To go to Alusha and find out what was going on there. You see, every day a letter is sent to the Baroness for the royal family. I sent yesterday. One never arrived. She paused as a shiver went through her body. When we arrived, we found we couldn't get in from the eastern gate, so we tried the northern gate. That was when we found a great big hole in the wall. So we climbed in. I suppose you know the rest. Thrawn nodded. Did you find any survivors? Alorna shook her head. None. We met along the road, said that we all saw anyone come through. Nor did we find anyone alive in that mess, she said, indicating, but not looking behind her, at the bodies of horses. What about the illusion family? Thrawn asked. Tone tough, to express concern for their well-being. Did you find what happened to them? Lona's ears went flat as she looked at one of those bright tears again. We found them all. Well, what was left of them anyway? Thra, although not showing any sympathy, was truly surprised. The entire illusion family. Gone. Lorna nodded. Except your eldest daughter, who's in the Orange Fortress. Thra's eyes widened. Their eldest daughter, Baroness Valenta, wasn't exactly the brightest child. She had the love and admiration of the horses of the south. Either way, the Polonian armies will have a tough fight on their hose. He looked back down at Lorna, whose pleading eyes were now beginning to carve into his soul. Slowly, he lifted his sword from the mare's neck and backed away, keeping his sword point firmly in front of her. Take off your armor, he ordered, to go back home to your love and never fight again. The mare's face lit up with delight. Or at least he ripped off her armor and threw herself at Thor's hooves. Oh, thank you, Alora said joyfully, kissing his hooves before galloping hard out of the courtyard and out of sight. Thor followed Alorna out of the courtyard, watched as he ran through the winding and narrow streets, headed to the wall where he came. She quickly jumped through without slowing down and was out of sight. Young love, he mused as he cleaned the blade of the blood that stained it. He thought back to when he fell in love for the first time as a young colt, was blossoming like a flower in the spring. Yet he also quickly died in the cold, bitter winds of winter. He shook his head to get such thoughts out as he seized his sword back into its scabbard. He quickly walked out of the courtyard and back into the streets of Andalusia, pleased to be able to finally leave the city at last. As he began to trot back the way he came, out of the courtyard, back into the desolate streets, he wondered what to do next. Go back into the wilderness and face whatever might kill him, as a slayer should do? Go find Freya and let her know that he loses families all but one's death. Or head back to Castilia for some rich hay and a large bowl of mead. Hello! Cried an unfamiliar feminine voice across the city. Thor's ears perked to see, and he listened closely where the voice had called. He realized the speaker was outside the city itself, seemingly at the eastern gate. First, he thought it might be another Andalusian patrol to inspect the city, so he moved into one of the buildings that stood to see who the speaker was. Hello! Twilight called out again at the walls, voice echoing across the sea valley they were in, and into the city, and maybe beyond. Anybody home? You need to all asleep, Pinky suggested in a whisper. How could the tired silly be asleep at midday? Rainbow asked, crossing her forelegs over her chest. Pinky shrugged. We had a super special awesome party that everyone got drunk in, and now they're all wasted. Twilight just rolled her eyes and shook her head. The 5 mares had woken up early in the morning, and after a quick breakfast, decided what to do. Firstly, they decided not to use the main roads in case they met the wrong company. Secondly, and reluctantly, they decided to follow Pinky, who claimed to have an excellent sense of direction. So they followed Pinky's excellent sense of direction, was the fault of going around in circles for 4 hours before coming back to where they had slept that night. Exasperated, Twilight decided to risk and take the main road, eventually come to a sign that pointed them here, to Andalusia. They finally arrived at the eastern gates of the city an hour later, to find them shut, and not a single horse or guard in sight. None of the ponies liked it, especially Rainbow Dash. Applejack noticed that every time Twilight called up to the walls, or when none of the others had spoken up, she flinched. She walked over to Pegasus' side, patted her on her shoulder. "You okay there, Sugar? Seem mighty jumpier than usual." Rainbow shook her head. "I don't like it, AJ. It's too quiet. Heck, not even a bird song's in the air," she sighed. "I just feel like something terrible's happened. I'm gonna check it out." Before Applejack could reply, Rainbow spread her wings and took to the air. Before she could get far, however, she felt a familiar tug on her tail. She didn't need to look back to know who it was. "Why does she always do that?" she thought while groaning. "Hello, Rainbow," Applejack said through gritted teeth. "If anyone is there hiding, they could try to shoot you down." "Well, then I'll just see you back," Rainbow retorted. "I'll just take a quick peek and come back down. 5 seconds, I promise." Applejack hesitated for a few seconds, eyes darting to the air for support. Finally, after not seeing any, she reluctantly let go. 5 seconds, Arlie, she said sternly. Rainbow saluted and followed up the battlements, where she could see the entire city, but still kept visible to the 4 ponies below. The others waited anxiously, sick of seeing the pass like hours as they waited on bated breath for the Rainbow Men to come down. "Dancing!" Pinky called up nervously. "It's been over 5 seconds. Could you come down now, please?" Rainbow finally, but slowly hovered back to the ground. And Harris gasped as he saw the horror written on Rainbow's face. Her eyes looked haunted, and seemed to Twilight Simon Pegasus' coat was a bit lighter than usual. "What is it, Rainbow?" Twilight asked softly. "What did you see?" It took a while for Rainbow to find her voice. "The entire city," she whispered, barely audible to both the others. "Destroyed." "Destroyed!" The four mayors gasped. "How could an entire city be destroyed?" Randy asked. "I don't know, Barry," Rainbow snapped, eyes watering. "But that's what I saw. The entire city burnt to the ground. So many bodies lying across the streets. It was horrible." Applejack leaned over and wrapped a foreleg around Rainbow's shoulders. "It means a bad idea to come after all," said Pinky, walking away. "Maybe we should try somewhere a bit more living." "No!" Twilight shook her head. "There may be someone in there. Someone we can help, and they can return and help us. And—" she gulped. Everyone was thinking the same. Fluttershy might have been in there. She turned back to Rainbow Dash, looked a bit paler than when she came back down the first time. "Could you fly up there and see if we could get this gate open, please?" I like to point out a little off topic, ladies and gentlemen, but I just got a comment on of Spires and Magic where they tried to say that the main six acting like a bunch of pussies was better than what was happening in the show. Basically, what the show's writers were, basically what that commenter was trying to say was that he preferred the girls to be wimps. But here they are, actually deciding to completely investigate somewhere bad and dark. And that was better. Fuck you. Rainbow nodded, mustering all her courage, took to the air, and landed out of sight of the gatehouse. "No good!" she called back down moments later. "There's 2 gate levers on either side, and my legs can't stretch that long." Twilight closed her eyes and disappeared in a flash of light, only to reappear next to Rainbow a second later. She gasped when she saw the city. As testament to Rainbow's description, the city was indeed destroyed. Buildings were blackened out and on the point of collapse. Some of which had done, and smoke still erupted from them. Pieces of the wall had gone completely, torn off as they were paper. What struck Twilight to her core was the amount of bodies that were strewn about. So many horses of various ages and height, but all were indistinguishable from charred remains. "Twilight," Rainbow called to her, drawing her gaze. "Mind giving me a hoof?" Twilight nodded, and with her horn lining up, the lever moved simultaneously with Rainbow's. They opened the gate. Twilight watched as Applejack led the way with caution. following closely by Rarity. But Piggy didn't move. Twilight could see she was visibly shaking. I'll stay close to her, Rainbow said. You keep going. Twilight nodded, and in a flash she was back in the street middle of the others, surveying the scene and trying to keep her eyes off the dead that filled the city streets. They watched slowly, stepping over the bodies as they passed them, trying not to breathe in the pungent stench that filled the air. By the time Rainbow and Pinky had caught up with them, the latter moved by the motivation of the former. The 5 mares moved in what seemed to have been their marketplace. There were around a dozen dead bodies living in different areas of the market. Some had remains of bags on their backs with food that would have been burnt, much like their owners. The stalls were only once lively and full of the freshest, most mouth-watering foods, were now broken, ruined heaps of timber. Who or what could have done such a foul thing? Applejack asked, voice not hiding her disgust or horror at such a thing. A dragon, Kara replied somewhere in the ruins, the words sounding bitter from whoever spoke it. Instantly, Twilight, Rarity, Applejack, and Pinky formed a circle, while Rainbow hovered above them, crossbow primed and ready to fire. Other ponies lifted their sore legs, and the blades sung as they appeared, the light of the sun reflecting on them. Hey, I just realized something. How they're gathering around in a circle like this? This is a hobbit fighting style. Yeah, did you guys notice on Lord of the Rings, the hobbits all circled around and got themselves ready to defend? Who's there? Twilight called out. We're armed and we know how to use these. Show yourself! As on call, the speaker showed himself. It was a gray stallion with a silver mane tail, beautiful blue eyes, and a scar across his nose to his right eye. I'm not here to hurt you, I promise, he said warmly. The ponies got out of their circle and formed a loose line in front of the stranger. They stared at each other in silence for a few minutes before Twilight lowered her legs slowly, the blade sliding back into the scabbard. Rainbow noticed Twilight's accent and hovered close to her ears, not once lowering her aim. Twilight, what are you doing? Are you sure we can trust him? She whispered. I don't know, Rainbow. But if he was dangerous to us, he would have attacked by now, or run. Twilight reasoned. I'm going over to talk to him. She calmly walked out of the circle and, ignoring her friend's pleas to come back, a few feet away from the stallion. I think we got off on the wrong foot here, he said, not once losing his smile. He stretched out a hoof. My name's Drilla, and you are? Slowly Twilight extended a leg and placed her hoof onto his, started shaking. The 4 ponies behind her released their guards and put their weapons away. I'm Twilight Sparkle, she introduced herself. Pleased to meet you, Thrilla. Upon seeing her name, Thrill's eyes widened. Twilight Sparkle, he said, as in the Twilight Sparkle, personal protege of the ruler of Equestria. Twilight brought her hoof away from his and stepped back in surprise. Thrilla couldn't help but grin. He looked up to the sign Pegasus. You must be Rainbow Dash, correct? Confused Rainbow could only blink and nod her head. Thrilla turned his attention to the orange surf pony. So that would make you Applejack, if I recall. That's right, but I don't see what the big deal. She was cut off by the gray horse, speaking to the white unicorn next to her. So you're Rarity then? Looks like the rumors were true on your beauty. He said with a wink. Rarity nearly fainted, began muttering, thinking that she would only be famous in Equestria. Finally, you must be Pinkie Pie, biggest party pony in Equestria? He asked the pink pony. Her nodding was so quick, Applejack had to hold her head to stop her. That's right, Twilight said, showing confused at this point. But how do you know who we all are? Surely you don't get news of Equestria's issues. Shroud chuckled when he looked down at each of the confused Equestrians' faces. To be honest, though, I thought you would all be a bit older. At least, that's what I heard from Fluttershy. You know Fluttershy? The 5 mares, striking surprise in his ears, sitting and falling to the ground on his back. A torrent of questions was soon bombarded onto him. All right! He bellowed. 5 mares backed away from him and stood up again, the wound on his shoulder giving him grief. Please, one question at a time. We're sorry, Thrilla. Didn't expect to meet some pony who knew her so quickly. Applejack said, looking at him with big pleading eyes. But please tell us, is she okay? Thrilla frowned. I'm afraid I cannot answer that for you, Applejack, he said sadly. For when I left Castilian, I learned she was going to the Ragged Mountains to find a pony named Firewing. How do you know her? Rainbow demanded, moving back into his face. Throw aside. Unfortunately, it was here. What do you mean? Twilight asked. Didn't take her long to realize what he meant. Oh, she said. Twilight Thrawn nodded, began to tell them how Fluttershy got captured by some soldiers while trying to get to Castilian, sent for execution. Then told him how close he was to having her head cut off when the dragon attacked. Came out of nowhere. No pony even heard of it until it was too late, he said to the stunned ponies. It attacked the city and killed everyone, except me and Fluttershy in about 20 minutes. Burned it all to the ground. Her and me were extremely lucky to escape. Wasn't for that wall over there that was destroyed, I don't think we would have gotten out. Afterwards, I took her to Castilian, capital city of Horska, and that was when she told us all about you and your adventures. He paused before adding, and I might say, you six are far braver than any soldier in the Palomian army. Taking on a huge army of changelings? Now that takes courage. Smile he had wavered slightly. Later, during an aurora, she told me about why you weren't here. And please don't judge her too harshly. She probably saved you all your lives with her actions. Twilight nodded. We know. We just want to be with her and help her through with whatever's happening to her. She got up from her seat position and bowed her head. Thank you, she said to Thra, then turned to her friends. All right, ladies, let's go and find our friend. She began running towards the wall where their new horse friend had jumped. She stopped and noticed the others weren't following. Growing at pace, he ran back into the formless-looking mares. What the heck are you waiting for? She yelled. We gotta find Fluttershy, now! Rainbow was the one to speak up. Twilight, are you forgetting something? Twilight shook her head. We got no idea where we're going. Twilight's eyes widened. Rainbow was right. They were in a large country, which none of them knew next to nothing about. She was planning to go in blind? She turned her head to look at Thra, contemplating whether or not to ask. They needed someone who knew the country like the back of their glove. Thra was the perfect course to help this situation. But would he be willing to help? Eventually, her determination and desperation to find her friend gave in. She turned to face the silver-maned horse. Trella, I was wondering if you... Say no more, Thra cut her off. It would be an honor to help you all, and to repay Fluttershy for saving my life. The five mares cheered and jumped to the embarrassed horse in a group hug. Right, he said uneasily, moving out of the circle towards the entrance. We need to move fast if we want to get to the Ragged Mountains by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning? Rainbow groaned. It's going to take that long? I can get there by myself by midnight, he said proudly. But I'm not going to leave you all out here while I go on ahead. Rainbow zoomed towards Thor's face. That challenge? She asked, a small smirk appearing on her lips. Girls! Twilight yelled at both of them. We are staying together and we're not going to split apart. Got it? The five equines nodded. Satisfied, Twilight turned to the now annoyed-looking horse. Beat the way, please. Throw about his head. Okay, equestrians, stay close to me. Don't dwell or drift away. Do everything I tell you. With that, he carried towards the hole in the wall. Since a quick stride, and left Rainbow Dash stunned. The Pegasus whistled. Wow, he's fast. She broke into a mischievous grin. But not fast enough. She zoomed at full speed after him, followed by Twilight, Rarity, and Pinky and Applejack. By the time the four of them reached the wall, Rainbow and Throw had jumped at, or waiting for them outside. Rarity jumped at first, followed by Pinky, then Twilight, who needed to boost up from the rubble from Applejack, followed once he knew everyone was out. They were soon level with the Horsekin, and making their way down a stone road, veering away from the one Throw took to get to Andalusia. Heading for the mountains was where a group of large spikes in the distance. Oh, I think Fluttershy's okay, Larry whispered to Applejack at Twilight. Don't you worry yourself, Rarely, Applejack said. Fluttershy may well be shy, but she can sure defend herself if she needs to. Excuse me a sec, boys. Get the hell back, you lousy riders! Fluttershy can defend herself as she needs to! She doesn't need your freaking boy toys to save her ass! I swear, I loathe those facts. Twilight and Rarity knew Applejack was probably right, but they still couldn't help but worry. So as they ran down the path with the cityscape smaller behind him, She silently prayed that he would find Fluttershy alive and well.